The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Phixated Podcast. I am your host, Mike Azzalina, and I am joined by a guy who, when he hugs you, squeezes tighter than home plate umpire Dan Bellino squeezed Christopher Sanchez tonight. Regzy Boo, thanks for the good hugs, bud.
I am an excellent hugger. I don't brag about myself a lot. I'm a good hugger. That guy's a terrible umpire. If we can throw in the dichotomy of the two things.
It is a dichotomy. It is a large dichotomy.
I am an excellent hugger. That guy is not an excellent umpire. Good
No,
Lord,
it's a tight zone.
does that game go different? Like the problem was he started calling it for the Cubs. Like he would call those really close pitches down and out for the Cubs. And Sanchez dotted some pitches. And he's just like, nope. Like as if it wasn't even close. It's like, dude, what are you talking about?
Well, I mean, the pitch he threw before the home run, it was strike three.
That's what I mean. I think he had two of them. I think he struck Horner out twice.
Yeah, look, it's not going to be easy to pitch to big leaguers if you're not going to get certain pitches. And Sanchez deserves the benefit of the doubt on those. And it's not even like they're just off the plate. They're right there.
Oh my gosh, they were right there.
It's tough. It's really tough.
I think the biggest thing about it is I don't want him to feel discouraged by it. Yeah. Because he's been pitching so well. And then I think they showed like Kyle like grabbing him in the dugout after that inning got done. Like, and I would bet $1 million. He's like, dude, you were getting squeezed. Like you pitched fantastic. Like, don't let this think that you didn't pitch well. Because you did. And this is just a one inning with a stot error and getting pinched. Like
it was just one of those innings. And here's the thing. He didn't implode after it. He got the out that he needed to get out of the inning, came back out the next inning and struggled a little bit. But I think that's because he threw 30 pitches the inning before.
Right.
It's tough to come back from that. So unfortunately, that was the outcome tonight. I don't think that's going to bother Christopher a whole lot. He's a totally different kid than what he was even just last year.
Yeah. And I think everybody in there is telling him, like, he's going to go back and watch those pitches and he's going to feel a lot better about it than he probably did in the moment. Yeah.
I do wonder if it changes their perspective on who starts what games. I don't think it will. I don't even know if it's going to be him anyway.
This is something we can get into whenever you want to, but you want to get to the happy stuff, the good stuff that happened, or you want to talk about the rotation? Because I think it's an interesting topic that everybody's bringing up.
Yeah, let's just update people on the standings, where the other teams are that the Phillies have to be concerned of in regard to home field advantage, the bye, all that. And then we'll get into the roster construction, who's starting what games, things of that nature. We have, fortunately, Regs, because of the outcomes of tonight's games, we do have a full week.
We got some time. That's right. We got some time.
So that's your first update with tonight's win and the Brewers losing on a very ridiculous play, by the way. Did you see the play?
I did. The left fielder bobbled it a bunch. Yeah. And then the dude was out by like 5 feet. Like it wasn't even close.
Yeah, I understand him going for it. They needed the tying run in scoring position. It's not, it's not making the out at third, but it still looked silly in the long run. But it allows for the Phils to take over that one of the byes. So they will not play their first home game or playoff game until the Saturday, October 5th. You and I will be at the first postseason game of 2024.
Right, buddy.
Really excited for that, but still not done, right? So the Phils are still fighting for the number 1 seed in the NL. And look, to be honest, the number 1 seed in all of baseball, which matters. It matters at the end of the day. So just an update here on standings and what needs to happen. They have 3 games left with Washington. The Dodgers have 4. They have 2. Sorry, the Dodgers have 5 remaining. They haven't played tonight. So they have 2 left with the Padres and then 3 with Colorado. Okay, so that's what's left on the Dodgers plate. So let's just talk about scenarios there.
Yep.
If the Dodgers lose the next 2 nights, the Phillies hold a game in the standings. So all the Phillies would have to do is win 2 out of 3 in Washington, and they would clinch the National League bye. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It gets a little bit more confusing on the other side. Now, if the Dodgers were to win one of these 2, then it's an interesting 3 days because they're both playing last place teams or bottom feeder teams.
Right.
And then it's really about who has the better weekend for that 1 seed. When you look across the aisle at the American League, the Phillies hold 2 games on the Guardians, but it's a true 2 games because the Guardians hold the tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
As of now, they hold a game on the Yankees. If the Yankees were to lose, which they were losing 7-3 before we hit record, then they would hold a game and a half on the Yankees. And again, that's a true game and a half on the Yankees because they also have the tiebreaker on the Phils.
Right.
The Yankees go to Pittsburgh. I don't know if they go there, if Pittsburgh comes to them after 1 more with Baltimore tomorrow. So, if Baltimore sweeps them, the Phillies are in good shape no matter what the Yankees do. And this is a long-term thing. We worry about them if you get to the World Series, but it's at least it'd be nice to know going in that the Phillies would play more games at home against anybody in baseball.
Right.
So it's something to look at. I don't know who the Guardians play this weekend. Let me just take a quick
I can
peek.
look it up.
I got it right here. We're just pulling. They host Houston.
Yeah.
So not an easy not an easy weekend series for the Guardians. So it is possible that the Phillies can do this. Just keep your eye on the Dodgers, Guardians, Yankees at this point.
Right.
No one else really matters in regard to what the Phillies can do. Interesting thing away from the Phils, but still has Philly implication. The weather forcing the Mets and Braves to cancel tonight and tomorrow. So the Braves, the Mets will go to Milwaukee and play their final 3 games, technically. Well, we're supposed to be their final 3 games. The Royals will go to Atlanta. Hopefully Atlanta can play come Friday. The assumption is that they should be able to. So right now, the Mets hold 1 game on the Braves. I think the Diamondbacks hold 1 on the Mets. I think that's the way it is. But this could result in the Mets and the Braves having to play a doubleheader on Monday.
It is. That's when they're playing.
Well, they're going to decide whether or not it's necessary. Like, if someone could get eliminated over the weekend, then they won't do it. Like if the Braves go and get swept by the Royals and they can't catch them,
right,
then they wouldn't play it. Or if the Diamondbacks get swept and the Braves and the Mets are both in, then
interesting.
They don't know that they would even play it for seeding. They would just let the commissioner decide seeding at that point. Maybe they would just go off of I don't know what the Mets Braves series is. I'll have to look that up. But really interesting stuff happening.
Yeah.
In baseball.
Also, just like a colossal F up. Like this was not unknown. Like it's what you're seeing all over the internet is this was not a new storm.
No.
Like they've known about this for a week.
I don't know what they were supposed to do though. Like what would you suggest? Because honestly, I don't know what the solution.
You either find a neutral site and play, or you go to New York and play. And again, that gives New York a distinct advantage. So I think you find a neutral site. You find a team that isn't playing at home, right? That's somewhere, maybe if you can keep it in the South, cool. Like, or one of the Texas teams not playing.
Or you even slide to a minor league team a little inland.
Right, that's what I mean. You like, but again, if you want to keep MLB facilities and all these things, like you can find a stadium, that's unoccupied, right now, that you could play at.
I mean, look, if you just go onto the app right now. Team that's not playing. The Rangers are playing on the road.
So there you go.
It would have been that simple.
Again, a neutral site. The field will be in condition. Grounds crews don't take the day off. Yep. You know what I mean? Yes, you'd need facility. Like the Braves facility. Like you could figure it out. You could figure it out for 2 games.
Yeah, because it is not going to be pretty having to,
especially if they matter. Can you imagine if they matter?
Well, if they don't matter, they're not playing.
But that's what I mean. Like, if they do matter.
Yeah. If they have to play, you've got to pitch your best.
Exactly.
And your bullpens are going to be wrecked.
Yes.
And now, here's one thing to think about. There might be a situation or a scenario where all it takes is one win from one of the teams.
And then you don't play in the afternoon.
Yeah. But like the Mets could truly, ready for this, go from Atlanta to Milwaukee, back to Atlanta to go back to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Like in the span of 5 days.
Yeah.
That's a little insane and a lot unfair.
Yeah.
So something to,
especially when it was preventable. Like this was preventable.
100%. 100%. 100%. Just insane. Wow. Well, look, couldn't happen to 2 better organizations. I kid. I mean, total kid. You hear it in my voice. I hate it for both teams. I'd be pissed if this were the Phillies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'd be pissed if this were the Phillies. I don't know the scenarios a whole lot, but it would really suck if like one of them is locked in and they still have to play. Like if it's up in the air for the Diamondbacks and the Braves, and the Mets are locked in to play, that sucks.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know what that looks like or entails. I don't know how we get to that point.
Right.
But I'm sure there's a way that happens.
Yeah.
And that would really suck for the Mets.
Yeah.
To have to play that game.
Yeah.
That would suck. But it would also suck to be the odd man looking out. And, it's just not a good situation you're in. But let's talk about our team. Now, we have a week to mull this around, and I'm sure our text message chain is going to be out of control by the time we finally play next Saturday. But I wanted to take a look at the roster construction, and I do want to talk about a little bit about the setup of the rotation, because that has been a really hot topic of conversation. But I want to start with roster construction and how they're going to build this 26-man postseason roster. So let's just start with recapping what numbers they had last year. Clearly, they carried their 2 catchers. That was it. They carried 5 infielders: Bohm, Harp, Sosa, Turner, Stott. There's not going to be a whole lot different there outside of utility, right? Outfield, they carried 5. They carried Castellanos, Marshy, Rojas. Schwarber's listed as an outfielder, even though he's a DH. And then Jake Cave and Christian Pache. Okay? They carried 13 pitchers. Now, before we came on, you had mentioned that they had asked Topper. He had alluded to the potential of 12 pitchers, which is sort of where I think they're going to go. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to name the locks. Then we're going to look at who are the possibilities to take those final spots over and who we want. And then we're going to compare last season's postseason roster to this season. And we're not going to say, oh, what was Marsh last year versus what is Marsh this year. We're going to look at it in totality. Who's replacing who, essentially. So let's start here. We know the 4 starters: Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez. We know that. Order we will get to here in a moment. Okay, here are 7 guaranteed relievers: Jose Alvarado, Matt Strahm, Banksy, Hoff, Kirk, Estevez, Jose Ruiz. All right, so that leaves 1. If they're going to go with 12 pitchers, that leaves 1 spot. All right, we'll get back to those guys here in a moment. So far, you agree? Those are locks.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely. No. Okay. No questions.
Okay. JT and Stubbsy, we know. All right. Bohm, Harp, Sosa, Stott, Turner, we know.
Yep.
Casti, Marsh, Rojas, and then Schwarber, we know. So, and I feel pretty comfortable, Regs. I don't see any way that Hayes is not on the postseason roster.
Neither do
So
I.
I say I'm going to go ahead and make him a lock.
Yeah,
Okay.
Again, he doesn't look fantastic, but I would tend to agree.
I think against a left-handed pitcher, he's your left fielder.
Yes.
For the most part.
Yep.
So, okay. So then that leaves essentially 3 spots, okay? Because you've got, as of now, we've got 11 pitchers. We have 2 catchers. You've got your 5 infielders. That makes 18. And then you've got your 2, 3, 4, 5 outfielders that we named. That gives you 23. So that leaves 3 roster spots. All right. So let's pick a pitcher to fill out this bullpen. Now, this is going to be your pitcher who's pitching in a situation where it's 4 runs, 5 runs. You're late in the game. It's basically what they did with
This is your mop-up guy. Yeah.
It's what they did with Brogdon in like 2022 against the Braves. So here are the 5 that have seen enough time to be considered. Colby Allard, Max Lazar. I don't know that I don't know that Gilbert really belongs here, but I'm going to say Gilbert just because he's been here.
Yeah, he's a name.
He's a name. There's Taijuan Walker. And then there's the curveball. And that is my guy, your guy, our guy, Spencer Turnbull. So, Regs, here's what I'm going to say. If Turnbull's healthy, let him be that guy out of the bullpen. I don't know how we're going to know that. I know he pitched in AAA and did fine. I know he's down in Clearwater pitching, and we'll see. That's not postseason action, but I know what he's there for, and it's not. It's there to be a warm
meaningful
body.
innings. Yeah,
he's there to be a warm body.
Yeah.
So that's the guy I'd want. Realistically, I don't know if he's the guy that's going to be there.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I completely agree. I think if he's healthy and he's shown that he can still pitch, I would take him just because I think that guy's in like his intensity and like his focus will be fine for that role, and just the junk that he throws, is plenty good enough just to hopefully eat up some innings. Is it going to be clean and like beautiful? Like, no, but again, that's not his job.
Right.
I think from there, my next pick is Colby Allard.
Yes, that's mine too.
I think that kid like really cares. I think he's like kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. Again, can he get wild and walk 5 guys? Of course he could. But I think if you just need some weird lefty to come in, I'd rather that than Taijuan Walker like 1,000 times out of 1,000, who's just throwing meatballs over the plate.
Yeah, I don't even trust Taijuan in a 5-6 run game.
No.
To get 3 outs.
No.
So yeah, if Turnbull can't be the guy, then I'm okay with it being Allard. I don't. Max Lazar also is not a terrible choice, right? It would not faze me at all. So, and look, that's a pretty good situation to be in. To have those, that's your last guy.
Yeah,
that's not a bad situation. All right, so we're in agreement. Turnbull, Allard, Lazar. We're not Gilbert guys, and we're certainly not Taijuan Walker guys.
No.
Okay. So then 2 guys to fill out the rest of the roster. There are 4 names here that I think are at least mentionable. 2 far more than others, and 2 that I think are almost guarantees to fill out the back part. So the 4 names are Cal Stevenson, Buddy Kennedy, Cody Clemens, and Weston Wilson. Just based on what's happened this year, I think it's clear, it's evident, it's going to be Clemens and Wilson.
Yeah.
I think, Buddy was a cool story. He's not going to make the postseason roster. There's really no need when Weston here.
Mm-hmm.
Cal Stevenson at least presents an interesting argument from the perspective of he can go get it in center field and he gives you really, really good at bats.
Yeah.
But they need left-handed pop off the bench.
Yeah.
And that's what Cody Clemens gives you.
Yeah. I mean, this is a no-brainer. It's Wilson and Clemens. Like there's not for, cool story with Buddy. Cal obviously delivered a couple great moments for us. But yeah, they're not on my playoff roster.
Right. Okay, so then let's take a look at this now, because in totality, we got a lot of the same names. All right, that's what we're really talking about. But let's take a look at who really replaces who this year in terms of names on the roster. Okay, so when we look at like Gregory Soto, that is Banks. That's your replacement, and in performance-wise, Banks has been far better than Soto was in a Phillies uniform.
Did you find two different types of pitchers?
I mean, Banks can bring it. He does not Soto bring it, but he can bring it. He can bring it. He comes with it. So that's a we call that a plus in the game, Regz. All right. Let's take a look at so Michael Lorenzen. We would say the replacement here is probably Jose Ruiz.
Sure. Yeah.
Feels like an upgrade.
Yeah. Oh, Ruiz absolutely. With how Ruiz has been pitching. Yeah.
He's been really, really good. Okay. Sir Anthony Dominguez. Now, there's really no replacement. I feel like what you would say in terms of the innings that they get, it would be Kerkering.
Yes.
So, and that feels like a very mighty positive.
Yeah.
The way that
again, another inning where Kerkering's getting squeezed and like is out of that inning so much cleaner than it was.
But getting the double play on Cody Bellinger.
Oh, it was enormous.
Yeah, that it's kind of showing me that one blow up inning against New York was he didn't have his fastball that night for some reason. And he was I mean, he'd pitched so much. Yeah. They were just using him every night.
He really does need a blow.
Yeah, it's gonna be good to get him a blow.
Yeah.
And then then like if we just say Walker to Turnbull, I don't even need to go there. Here's a big one. Kimbrel Estevez.
Yeah. Again, like I love people doing this, like your trust tree of the bullpen and where you would rank people.
Yeah, like, I got one.
Estevez is 4th for me. He's been fine.
Yeah.
He's been fine. Like, do some balls get hit harder than I'd like to? Yes. Would I like him to miss some bats more often? Yes. It seems like for whatever reason, Hoffman's 96, 97 is more unhittable than Estevez's 99.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
I think it's a little straighter. I don't think it moves as much.
Sure.
As Hoffman.
Yeah. Again, there are reasons, obviously. Yeah. But if you're just talking about that, this like to bring up Craig Kimbrel, like this bullpen doesn't have a Craig Kimbrel.
Right.
Is everyone perfect? No. But is there just a guy, like there's not a guy who's just cooked and just can't throw.
Yeah. I mean, Alvarado's probably the closest one.
Yes. But again, if Alvarado has to come in, I would love to know the splits between how many lefties and righties he's faced this season.
Yeah.
Because it seems like he was so good at the beginning of the year. He was getting everybody out.
Sure was.
Just everybody. And again, that's the ceiling of Jose Alvarado.
Right.
But his floor should at the very least be a guy who can get lefties out.
Right.
And it just felt like they were bringing him in to face a lot of righties, and I don't know why. Mm-hmm. Again, I'll have to look this up, but it was just one of those things. Like if you have, let's just say the Diamondbacks, who are a pretty, can be a lefty heavy team.
Yeah, got a lot of lefties.
And you're bringing him in to get some lefties out. I have a lot more confidence in that than if you're bringing him in to get the middle of a lineup out.
Yeah.
He's got to be used in a certain way now. He's not the guy who you just bring in for anybody. It's just not who he is right now.
Right.
It's who he was in the beginning of the season, but it's just not who he is right now. We have other guys for that. So as long as they can deploy him properly, I'm not going to say he can't still be effective, but he's going to have to be used the right way.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding his
Splits, right?
I mean, I have his splits, but I don't see how many at bats.
Oh,
It's interesting though, because man, he is not. I mean, only 9 hits against lefties this year to 39 against righties.
I again, this is anecdotal, and I will try and look up the actual statistics, but
You're not too far off here, buddy.
it
4
felt
walks. He's walked 4 lefties and 24 righties.
it just
And he's struck out 18 lefties and 44 righties.
it just felt like he's faced more right-handed hitters, and that's just at this point. Yes, that was him in the beginning of the year, but that's not him right now.
No.
So they gotta use him properly.
Lefties are hitting 129 off of him. Righties are hitting 257. So whip against lefties is 0.63, and against righties it's 1.3. So yeah, interesting thought, Regs.
I just hope they have more numbers than I'd ever know existed on this baseball team. You have to use him properly. You can't be in the mode that he's just in there to mow guys down, because that's not where he's at right now. But if you've got a lefty up and you need an out, I'd bring him in.
Yeah. You know, I got to tell you what's been really interesting to me about the bullpen. And it feels like when games are tight, they're going Strom and Hoffman in the 9th.
I hope they do. I think Estevez like having the 9th just because is not the right way to do it.
No, but it feels like, because there have been a couple of games where I'm like, interesting, Strom's getting the 9th or Hoff's getting the 9th.
They've started to do it a little bit, yeah.
And you know, Topper's like, well, they were already heated up. And I'm like,
well, he's brought in Estevez to like when they're already up 3 or 4 in
like
the
a
9th
3-run
inning.
lead.
Right.
Yup, a 3-run lead. That's the type of save that Estevez gets.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's 1 run, 2 runs, it's Strom or Hoffman.
Which it should be.
But it's going to be interesting, though, in the postseason, because he likes to deploy those guys in big spots against the meat, you know, but you have Kirkering to do that now, too.
Right.
You've got 3 guys you can do that with. So, and hopefully with your rotation, you don't have to deploy your bullpen till the 7th.
I think that's a huge deal. I really do hope that we've seen Rob trust people too long in certain situations. I'm hoping it doesn't revert way back the other way in the playoffs. Your starters have been so good.
Yeah.
And your team has been so good when those guys have gone 6 or 7 innings.
Yeah.
That like, you got to give these guys a chance to do it. And maybe instead of a full inning, it's one guy. Like somebody's coming out for the 7th because it's Wheeler on a righty, or it's Nola on a righty, or it's Sanchez on a lefty. And you're just looking for him to get that one guy.
Yeah.
And then you're going, to the bullpen. Like you can't take him out in the 5th inning when they're at 76 pitches just because you think the matchups are right, or if it's a 1-run game. Like you just can't do it. Like you've got the guys who have proven to you that they can do this.
Yeah. I do think we see that level of trust with last year. We saw it more with certain guys. We saw it with Wheeler a lot more last year than the year before, especially it's tough because in the World Series, Alvarez killed everyone. It didn't matter who it was. Yeah. So I still don't blame him for that move. But I think we're going to see a quick hook on Ranger like we typically do,
which I think is warranted right now with how he's pitching. Like that's not out of left field.
Right. And then Nola, I think he trusts. I think he trusts. So yeah, and Sanche, we'll see. I mean, it's he tried to go with him for another inning tonight, it didn't work out. So
yeah, I think again, I'm really trying not to put a lot on Sanchez. He's out of that inning with a good call and a Stott grounder. Yeah, which he hasn't booted in 4 weeks. You know what I mean? Like
six errors in 159 games is pretty impressive, even though he hasn't played all of them. All right, let's finish up the roster, and then I want to talk about the pitchers, and I do want to talk about the triumvirate in the just for him.
Yep.
So I would say that Clemens over Cave is a huge upgrade off the bench. I like Hayes Wilson over Pache too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I trust that any combination of those three guys coming off the bench to pinch hit for like a Rojas late in the game is a win, right? Now let's do this real quickly. Not a lot of time here. I just want your thoughts on it. We've talked about it, but if we were playing a game tomorrow and you're facing a righty. I can't even think of a guy Freddie Peralta is he a righty from the Brewers? He's righty.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just faced him and I couldn't think. So you're facing a righty. Obviously Marsh is in the lineup.
Yes.
You're at home. Your preference. Rojas or Hayes?
In the playoffs, I want the defense.
Yeah. I think there's enough offense, and I don't know that Hayes has shown us
Hayes hasn't been lighting the world on fire.
I'd prefer Rojas' speed. If he gets on base, it's an automatic double. I prefer his defense. A ball gets hit to center field and I don't even watch. I know what's going to happen. So
it's just a huge difference defensively when it's Marsh and Rojas than if it's Marsh in center and anyone else in left field. If it's a lefty,
I'm good with it. If it's a lefty, I'm good with Hayes in left and keeping. I want Rojas pretty much playing center field every postseason game.
Yeah.
I feel like what we're going to get from Hayes and Marsh is what we're going to get. And I'm even okay with Wilson out there once in a while. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm just, that's sort of where my head is. I do think we're going to see Sosa play second base against lefties. I really do. And that's honestly, that's on Bryson Stott for just not having the year we all thought he was going to have. Okay. Let's talk about the rotation real quickly. And this is the way I'm going to phrase it. We all know Zach Wheeler's starting game 1. He is going to be there on October 5th. You, me, Zach, we're all hanging out on October 5th. If October 6th were tomorrow and the Phillies, I don't even think we have to say they're up 1-0. I mean, they're not going to announce it right away. I can tell you that right now. They're going to keep it pretty low key. But if it were tonight, we're October 5th and you and I are recording after we come home after a Phillies win. Who are we talking about starting tomorrow?
I want Sanchez.
Yeah, but is it going to be him?
No.
I want him too.
No, it's not.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not there. I think I'm 60-40 no.
That's
maybe
that's fair.
45. I don't think it's out of the question. And here's my reasoning behind it. And then I want your thoughts on this. Clearly the numbers are what the numbers are. Sanchez has been so much better. So much better. And you put him in a situation at home and say you go up 2-0 in the NLDS. Now you've got a guy like Aaron Nola who just doesn't give a crap where he pitches. When we talk about having no pulse and no care in the world, that's Aaron Nola. The other piece to that is we know the numbers when Aaron Nola pitches in an opportunity to clinch. His ERA is under 2.
Yeah.
So you send him on the road with a 2-0 lead. You might be getting out of there and not even have to use Ranger.
Yeah.
And be able to reset your rotation all over again for the NLCS.
Yeah.
So I think that that's why I'm hovering right at 50-50, 55-45, because I do think that we might see Christopher Sanchez pitch on Sunday.
Yeah. I think the thing for me is that you take so much variance out of the equation if you pitch Sanchez at home and Nola on the road.
Yeah.
The likelihood of outcomes becomes so much more clear when you do that. And I have to believe, it's going to be a conversation. This team is too smart. This team is too locked in to not have this conversation. It's going to come down to, and I don't even think Nola would take it the wrong way.
No.
I honestly, this is not an Aaron Nola ego thing. And I don't think he would take it that.
Last guy to have an ego.
But that's what I mean. I don't think, I think you're dealing with a unique guy who is not going to take it that way. It's Aaron, we want you on the road to seal this deal, man.
And you're the veteran.
We're gonna send you. We're gonna send you on the road with a 2-0 lead. You go get it done for us.
Yeah.
And you're just reducing the margin of error for Christopher Sanchez if you're pitching him at home. And I don't know if you've seen this, but Anthony DeBundo on The Ringer was with Shield, and they were on the Philly special, and they were and he said he got a study sent to him that there are 3 mounds in Major League Baseball that have a certain descent angle that are more positive for sinker pitchers. San Francisco Giants, us at CBP, and I can't think of the third one. I'll think of it in a second. Okay. But they measured the mounds of all the stadiums.
Wow.
And because of the angle of the descent at CBP, sinkers sink more. Like changeups have more action. Those types of pitches are better in these stadiums than they are at others.
Yeah.
What type of pitcher is Christopher Sanchez?
Sinker changeup.
So there was like a little bit there. Again, he was verifying the source of this, but he looked at Logan Webb's output in San Francisco and away.
Yeah.
A sinker ball pitcher, right?
Super interesting.
So it's like, if you know those things and you're just looking for every competitive advantage, your competitive advantage is to pitch Christopher Sanchez at home in Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah.
And I think all of us would feel, I think every single person would feel better with Aaron Nola on the road up 2-0 than we would Christopher Sanchez.
Even 1-1.
Yes, but I just mean that's the difference. If we have Christopher Sanchez going out in game 3 on the road, we're all like, shh, like, we better score some runs, man.
Yeah.
Like, we better score some runs.
Yeah.
And with this offense, as we know they're prone to do sometimes against really good pitching, you're just taking away so much variability.
Right.
And I really again, they have numbers I couldn't dream of. They watch these guys every day. They've been thinking about this for 4 weeks probably. And everyone's just talking about it now, all us idiots behind a microphone. But it's like, if we can see it, they have to. So it just comes down to the decision that gets made.
I mean, there might have been an episode a couple weeks back that we talked about this before it became a thing. Go back and listen. I think we had this conversation 3-4 weeks ago where we talked about, hey, something to consider,
right,
is to start Christopher Sanchez over Aaron Nola. Not because, we don't trust Nola, but because I trust Sanchez a lot more at Citizens Bank Park.
We trust Aaron more. It has nothing to do with not trusting Aaron Nola. It's why wouldn't you put this guy who's had an unbelievable season, but honestly has still not had this much pressure on him from a playoff standpoint? Why wouldn't you put him in the best possible scenario to pitch his best?
Right.
When you have a guy like Aaron Nola, who, like you said, walks onto every mound like, I don't even know where I am right now.
Yeah, he just looks clueless. I love him.
I love and hate him. You've texted me this he's the most baffling pitcher I've ever seen in my whole life.
Ever. But he will go down as one of the greatest to ever do it.
He will. Absolutely.
He will. But he's so confusing.
Why take the variance? Why take the low end of Christopher Sanchez? Why? Yeah. Why do it?
It doesn't make sense. But I mean, we will see. We will see. It's gonna be a fun week and a half of who the heck knows. I am curious to see how they handle the week off, what they do. I'm sure we'll hear about it, read about it. But it'll be interesting to see what they're.
I think even Ruben has said they've already got sim games set up.
Yeah, they talked to a bunch of other teams about it. I would anticipate them bringing their best spin rate minor league pitchers and saying go for it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Hey, did you listen to the playlist, the Clubhouse playlist?
I haven't yet. I still need to.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I still need to. I need to find the actual link to it. Was it in Coffee's article?
I can send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me. All right.
It's in SoundCloud. So
all right.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's really good. It's all of it is there, and there's a lot of like voiceovers, and it's funny.
Yeah.
Well done. Okay. Let's jump to the birds. The 2-0 Eagles should be 3-0. 2-1 Eagles should be 3-0 Eagles.
Yeah.
Look, let's just do an overview, 30,000-foot view of that game, and then if there are people you want to know specifically about from the tape, like we did last week, I'll talk about it, and then I'll give you my three biggest takeaways. It was something. It was something. It's almost like the defense was so offended by what happened on Monday night that they weren't going to let anything close to that happen to them again. The offense, I mean, there's a lot of blame to go around here. There's the turnovers, there's the decision-making from the head coach, there's the injuries. There's so much that could be talked about. Left a lot of meat on the bone.
Yeah.
A lot of meat on the bone. The injury list is longer than the good list. Like it is something what's going on right now. But they got out of there 2-1. A lot thanks to Vic Fangio and his defense, and a lot of thanks to Saquon Barkley and some depth pieces. That made a big impact in this game. And also shout out to Dallas Goedert.
Oh, yeah.
Who's not one of my big takeaways, but who played a really good game and showed what he can do when he's, featured in the offense. So, yeah, I mean, definitely some questions, definitely some things that bugged me.
Yeah.
Not kicking the field goal twice. I know what the stats like going for it with 13 seconds left and running that play. Why?
Yeah, I'm with you.
I just don't get it. So your initial thoughts, anything that you want to talk through?
Initial thoughts, Jalen Carter, damn. Just flat out, he was a man possessed.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't think this team is better coached from a defensive standpoint than they were last year, I'm not sure what you're watching.
I don't care what happened in the Falcon game.
No, I think you saw the changes in the front and how they defended the run and how they went like 5-1 or 6-1 and all these different ways that they just put more of their best run stoppers on the field. My only hope for the defense is, can you do it twice? Like, there's no doubt that this defense can do it and do it for a week. It's like the best defenses do it all the time.
Yeah.
So obviously Atlanta happened. They made an adjustment knowing that a team like New Orleans loves to run the ball. And the adjustment worked, and they played their best game of the whole season. Can you do it again? Again, this will be much different. Tampa cannot run the ball. They are bad at it. Like, really bad at it. But they have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. And Rashid White, is a great pass-catching running back. So, can you change now? Can you adapt and still play that well? That's the big question. But you can't take away from Vic and how he got his guys ready to play against this team that hadn't not scored a touchdown in 11 straight possessions. So kudos to them. Can we see it again? I think is the big question mark.
Yeah. And so something that was interesting to me was they were in the Saints did them a favor and kept them in their base pretty much all game. They played heavy, and that allowed the Eagles to keep their best run stoppers on the field. it'll be interesting to see if teams adjust and run a different personnel group out there that doesn't allow for the Eagles' best run stopping group to be on the field. Now, the times that New Orleans tried to do that, the Eagles just countered with bringing another guy on the line, and it worked.
Yeah.
I agree. Darius Slay will play this weekend. He practiced today.
Yeah.
So
full practice. Yep.
Full practice. So that's a great sign.
News. Because he was playing fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. And once again, Quinyon also, you talked about coaching. They ran that same cover six.
I heard this. Yep.
The same one. And he dropped and adjusted when they dumped down in front and made the tackle.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what we talked about on the show after last week's game.
Yeah.
If he drops, Cousins is dumping that off to Bijan. It's a 6-yard gain.
Right.
And yeah, he gets out of bounds, but it's not a chunk play.
Right.
And he learned from it. And that's a rookie. And I told you this the episode the other night when we got on here for the Phils. Afterward, we talked for a while about the Eagles. Quinyon is he's not known for his hands, but he's gonna get one.
He's gonna get one, yeah.
He's gonna every week
There's gonna be too many chances. He's gonna get on one of them.
The thing from this week that concerns me, I do think the defense can compete. I think the strength is the pass defense. I mean, Rashid Shaheed is one of the best deep threats in football.
Yeah, Olave is no joke either.
And Shaheed did nothing. And the only time that Olave really got going was when Slay went out from that cheap shot.
Mm-hmm.
They went to him 3 straight plays. But before that, I think he had like 2 catches.
Right.
And Shaheed did nothing. I mean, I know I heard someone say like he dropped that ball in the end zone. I gave Quinyon some credit for locking his arm a little.
Listen, it hit him in the hands. You're not going to say that he probably couldn't have gotten his hands around it, but Quinyon was there and did he made that catch difficult.
Yeah, where in the past we've had corners who are still 3 yards behind.
Right.
So it's about being in a position to challenge in the NFL, and he always is.
Yeah.
Well, it's 3 weeks, but feels like he always is. Here's the concern, Regz. The injuries.
Yes.
Especially on the offensive side of the football.
Well, yeah, we can switch over to that now.
Yeah, let's talk about that, and then I'll do my takeaways or anything from the tape. So it sounds like Makai's going to play. He's got a cast that's going to allow him to play. Steen was great. Like,
did he break his finger?
Yeah.
Got it.
Well, I think he tore something in his finger.
Okay, cool.
So,
cool.
But he's going to play this week. But Steen was fantastic. He was. I didn't see anything throughout the game or the tape when he took over that showed me any different. Fred Johnson did a great job, but they started to figure him out a little bit later in the game. But he was awesome. It sounds like Becton's playing. Lane was at least at the facility today and in the actual practice, like on the field, he was stretching. But that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Because Devontae and AJ were nowhere in the facility. They were not seen. So that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
I don't feel great about a team who blitzes like crazy.
Yeah.
And the Eagles don't have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, or Britton Covey, which means their receiver core for this week is going to be Paris Campbell, Jahan Dotson, and a rookie.
Yeah.
I don't feel awesome about that. Yes, you still have Dallas Goedert. Yes, you still have Saquon Barkley. It doesn't feel good.
No, it doesn't. I think even if Lane doesn't play, maybe Becton can move to tackle, and you keep Steen at guard.
Doesn't sound like they're going to do that.
They're going to keep Fred on the side. Okay.
Yeah, just because it's not long term.
Yeah.
And I'll knock on wood. They don't want to mess with Becton and just want him to get more reps. It sounds like he's going to stay there.
All right. So hopefully that helps Fred Johnson, because I think hopefully it only helps to have that guy next to you.
Yeah.
I think just having Becton in there from a run blocking standpoint is a huge deal.
He's a freaking road grader.
Yeah. From a passing standpoint, I'm with you. It's a nightmare. Like, it's just a nightmare. And it was the nightmare we all thought of before the season started. They were very thin at wide receiver. Hopefully they know sooner rather than later and are game planning for this situation. Like, hopefully it's many more just quick routes to Saquon in the flat or Goddard in the flat, or, you know,
greens to counter the blitz.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see what they can come up with. And it's going to be interesting to see who can step up. Like, we know it was Goddard, but if you don't think that team's keen on Goddard, if AJ and Devontae are out, like, then they're not a very good, well-coached team.
Right. And we know they are. We know Todd Bowles does a really good job.
Yeah, but you know they're going to blitz. So you know there's going to be people in one-on-one situations.
Yeah. Someone's got to win.
Right. You have to just be able to, someone's got to be open.
Yeah.
And Jalen has to feel confident in the game plan, because we know if he's not confident, he's just going to bail.
Mm-hmm.
And then that usually doesn't turn into great things.
No.
Especially against Todd Bowles.
We're also likely to see John Ross elevated this week.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you, I don't think either one of them play. I think it's not worth it for AJ. I'd prefer him to just heal it. He gets basically a month off.
Yeah, right.
You know, by not playing this week. It stinks that Devontae has a concussion, but this is the way it is. And where our depth is being tested really early. It would be nice to be 3-0 right now, because I don't think either of us would care.
Yeah, who cares?
I think we'd
be like 3-1. Who cares? Yeah.
3-1, get everybody healthy, and let's make the run down the stretch here.
Yeah.
But here we are. So it doesn't look promising for either one of them, nor do I want them to force the issue.
No, absolutely.
It's not in their hands for Devontae.
Right.
You know, but with AJ, I'd much prefer him just take the 2 weeks and be healthy.
Yeah.
Unless they want to put him out there just as a decoy. But with a hamstring, even running a route as a decoy is a risk. So, all right. Quickly, any players that you want to know about before I do my?
I don't know. I watched a lot. Like, a lot of people had some really great film breakdowns that I was watching.
Yeah.
And I don't think in this game there was a whole lot of nuance. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there was a whole lot of guys you would want to talk about. Like, Jalen Carter was a beast. Brandon Graham played an unbelievable game.
Yeah.
It's still crazy that Bryce Huff is not good, and
that's going to be a problem.
Sweat still isn't like.
Sweat was fine. Yeah,
he was fine.
He was fine. Yes, he was a big reason that they had that pick on the last play of the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great to see that the secondary continues to play pretty well.
Yeah.
Especially the corners. Bond had a nice game.
Yep.
I think from an offensive standpoint, like, God, it's nice to have Saquon Barkley. Good Lord.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, geez, ew.
Jalen, I want to quickly talk about the turnovers just from a film perspective. The fumble, he needs to get
hold
2
on
hands
on the ball, man. Just come on.
Two hands on the ball when you're rolling, man. There's no reason when you watch Patrick Mahomes, the ball is up.
Yeah.
It's at his chest. You've got to protect the ball.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. The pick is not on him. It's not. He is not. His job on that play is to get that safety on his left to move toward Jahan Dotson. That's Jalen's job with his eyes. He knows as soon as he hits that last step in his drop, he is firing it to a spot. Devontae's job is to get Honey Badger moving one direction. If he gets him moving that direction, it's a touchdown. they ran that play, that exact play.
Yeah, right.
Against the Falcons, and it worked for a touchdown.
Right.
He did not get Honey Badger to move, and that's not on Jalen.
Yeah. Someone else made a good point. If that's AJ running that route, just a bigger body.
Yeah.
Like he probably.
Yeah. But that's a route that they do run with AJ or with Devontae. It's just he didn't run the route well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know who they run it with this week, but
yeah, right.
There's no one there. But yeah, the turnovers need to chill. They need to chill. My three major takeaways. You kind of mentioned two of them already. Jalen Carter is a dude. He's an absolute freak. And look, guard play in the NFL is not at. So he's going to have opportunities against bad guards every week for the most part. Like the Cowboys have a really good guard. We saw it with the Falcons, really good guard. So he's not going to win 90% of the time like he did this week. But he's going to win enough, Regz. Especially like this week, the Bucs, their offensive line stinks.
Yeah.
They are banged up. As a matter of fact, that team as a whole is really banged up.
Yeah.
Like Antoine Winfield didn't even practice.
Yeah.
And both their receivers were limited. The guys you mentioned. But Jalen Carter has another chance this week to eat them up. Jordan Davis, and I wrote these down as two because I feel like they need to be combined. Jordan Davis played his best game as an Eagle this week.
Yeah.
Bar none, his best game as an Eagle. He was lethal against the run. He had a sack.
Yep.
Which we're going to get to in a moment because it was actually more of a coverage sack. But really incredible job by those two. I agree with you on the Bryce Huff front. The first play of the game, he set a perfect edge.
Yeah. Yeah.
A perfect edge. And then he forgot how to do it.
Yeah, right.
I don't remember when it was, but they had
it was like three plays later.
Was it? They had Bijan like cramped in the middle of the field, and he collapsed into the middle of the line, and Bijan broke it for a first down. It was third and short.
Right.
And they had him, but Bijan broke it and then he didn't play any rundowns the rest of the. This dude's getting 18 million. He played 18 snaps.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to address that position because Brandon Graham's not gonna be able to play it.
No.
So whether it's Jalix Hunt getting more opportunities or it's gonna be what they do at the trade deadline, which comes a lot quicker in the NFL.
Yeah.
Than other sports. But there are going to be some guys out there on some bad teams. So the defensive line was definitely a mostly a positive takeaway. But man, the Bryce Huff thing. Second takeaway, you mentioned Saquon. Good Lord. I mean,
like sheesh.
The explosiveness of this guy.
Yeah, and just the ability to turn absolutely nothing into 8 yards.
Yeah.
Like, again, I was just thinking, I haven't looked up the Eagles red zone numbers, but I don't think they've been very good in the red zone so far. But it's because they keep relying on Jalen. And like in a tight space, like these guys, it's really hard to get really open in the red zone.
Yeah.
Like, just give that man the ball. He's going to turn 1 yard into 4. And I get it. You can only do that for so long until there's 9 people at the line of scrimmage. But,
well, I mean, if you spread them out, they can't do that.
Right.
But part of the problem, Regz, that I've seen, and I'd have to go back and look, but it's through 3 games, I feel pretty good about saying Saquon gets them down there.
Yeah.
He's the bell cow from the 30 to the 15.
Right.
Or the 10. And then they give him a blow.
Right.
And I'd almost
Which again, I don't understand. Like, just keep going.
No, because you don't want to kill the guy.
Oh, well, yeah, sure.
But I'd almost prefer that when you get to like the 30, that's when you bring Kenny in the game.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe you run with a little tempo so the defense is winded and he can take advantage of that. Or when they're healthy, use one of the 70 other weapons you have. Like, but I'm noticing that they pull him. Now, when you think about his second touchdown the other day, it was after Goddard went 65 yards.
Right.
So they didn't use him there. But when they get inside, that's when they bring Gainwell in the game. And that does kill them in the red zone.
Yeah.
So, but man, he is such a freak.
I mean, the speed, the agility is like, the pass protection is like.
We're seeing, I mean, we've talked about this for years now, that the Eagles' offensive line turns mediocre to bad running backs into money-grabbing running backs. Miles Sanders isn't even playing. And DeAndre Swift has like 38 carries for 60 yards.
And that offensive line is awful in Chicago.
Yeah, it's not a good O-line, but there's also still, I've seen film of him where he has lanes and doesn't know what to do.
Right.
This is what you get when you have an elite running back with an elite offensive line.
And a guy who everyone thought, a guy who a lot of people thought, oh, he doesn't have it left. Like, it's been too many years, too many injuries. This dude is motivated. He is in shape. Yeah. I think you're exactly right. We don't want to kill him. Like, you need to make sure you're conservative.
Yeah.
You're making sure he stays healthy as long as possible.
Right.
But like, God, this dude still has the juice, man. He's got the juice.
I was kind of hoping that there'd be a shot where they give him like a second pseudo bye week, but I don't know that they're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, right. The other injuries have precluded that.
Yeah, and I don't even need it to be now. I was thinking more later in the.
Yeah, like week 9 or something like that.
Yeah, like the Panther game.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It feels like they're going to have to win a lot of games at this point, unfortunately.
Let's hope maybe they can just play Kenny and what's his name? Saquon can just have a blow. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, last takeaway. Friend of the pod. I mean, at least we like to consider him that. Dude, Reed Blankenship.
We're going to get him on here. We're going to get him on the pod.
Dude, he's so good. I got to tell you, I still have my note from that draft that says he's the guy they need to, he was like the dude they signed with the second lowest money as an undrafted. And he has turned himself into, this week was like the second best safety in football, statistically. Regz, like coverage safety. Regz, I can't even like begin to tell you how impressive it is watching him. The interception was, he's done this a few times now. That's not an easy catch.
Oh, no.
He's got really good hands.
Oh, yeah. Like
go ahead.
I was just saying, you're absolutely right. Cause like I was staying up watching the catch over and over when they were replaying it. And I'm like, good Lord, he held on to that ball. Like that's not easy. It's not easy at all.
No. I also want to tip my cap to him on there was a play. It was the sack that Jordan Davis had. He was in the perfect position where Carr looked to a receiver, but knew if he threw it, his Olave was either going to get lit up or Blankenship was going to pick it off. And all he could do was just let Jordan Davis sack him.
Yeah.
And that is Reed Blankenship in his third year making the right decision.
Yeah.
In coverage.
So an interesting thing I heard on that same Ringer podcast, they had Sean Syed on, and he like literally wrote an article called The Book of Fangio. Okay. So he's like a Fangio nut. Like he's studied him, all these things. And he said in the game, when they went too deep, they had the safeties looking opposite directions for the deep crosses, because that's what the Saints like to do. So when they would drop, they were looking essentially, inside. Their eyes were inside to see the guys coming back and in. And it was just what a wild thing to do. He's like, because again, if you get beat, like if someone's running past you, you don't see them, but they saw a tendency and they were able to kind of change what they were doing for that opponent, for that specific opponent.
Fangio, it's crazy to me because Fangio really kills Shanahan offenses.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't do great against like your basic offenses, but he absolutely destroys Shanahan offenses. As a matter of fact, there was an article written a few years ago where they asked all of like Shanahan's boys, defensive coordinator you hate facing the most, and every one of them said Vic Fangio. I agree with you, Regz, that it's going to be interesting to see how they carry this forward.
Yeah.
The Bucs are not by any stretch world beaters. Baker is fine, but I feel like they can mess with Baker.
Yeah.
It's just, I think this week comes down to offense.
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to score enough?
Yeah.
You know, one thing I think of about the defense before we move into our picks, they don't even have Sidney Brown, who I think is the biggest freak
Yeah. Right.
on their defense.
Just to
who's
be,
just, he's going to be such a chess piece for Fangio.
He's here pre-snap. Now he's over here and he's just like, yeah.
He is such a chess piece for Fangio. Yeah. I'm really excited for when he gets back, and I think he might be back after the bye.
Yeah, I think because he's on the IL, right? So it's 4 weeks.
Yeah, I think he's back after the bye, and we're just gonna see all hell break loose.
Yeah,
he's gonna be all over the place. I'm really curious to see what they do with him because they can deploy a little bit. They can use CJ in the slot.
Yep.
But CJ's been a ridiculous tackler. He did it again this week.
Yeah, right.
On a 3rd and short, where he came up to the line and made a huge tackle. So I don't know. The defense is going to be fun. They got a lot of young talent.
Yeah.
Running around right now. So all right, let's jump to this week. So I haven't decided yet. I'm going to have to make a game time decision. We're going to leave South Bend at like 4 a.m. So I did this last year or 2 years ago, and I got back at 12:40.
Okay.
Showered and I was ready. It was opening weekend. They played the Lions. Showered and I was ready for kickoff. So we're going to see if I can make that happen again. If not, I'll probably DVR, turn the messages off, do the whole thing. Watch later. They are 2-point favorites, Regz. They're the media darlings again. 44.5 point total. I forget if I went first last week or if you did.
You did go first last week.
Yeah. So we'll stick with that.
That's fine. Yeah.
Regz, I don't think they win this game.
Okay.
I'm not sure that there's enough offense. I know we have Saquon Barkley. I know there's still Dallas Goedert, but like, if Todd Bowles knows that AJ Brown, A. Smith are on the field, it's going to be zero blitz all day, all day. So I think it's going to be low scoring. I don't think they hit the over. I think it's going to be a really low scoring game because I think defense will do enough. But I think it's like, I wrote down a couple of scores. I'm trying to decide on one. Let's say 20 to 10 Bucks.
Okay.
This is what I went with.
All right. I'm going 17.
Oh, I didn't do a key to the game.
You need a key to the game. Yeah.
Key to the game is I think it's just going to be finding some sort of offense.
Yeah.
And finding it in a way that allows Jalen to make quick decisions. I don't want them to feel like they have to throw the ball downfield to Johnny Wilson, or if Ross is there. I want quick decisions that are going to make Bowles think twice about blitzing zero. That's what I want. Go ahead.
17-13 Eagles. I think the defense shows up again.
Okay. And they find enough offense to win it.
I think it's they only need 2 touchdowns and a field goal. I think they
Will
can
they kick
figure
the
it
field
out.
goal, Regs?
Well,
Will they kick the field goal?
Again, that is to be determined.
Also, keep in mind, weather could be something this weekend after the hurricane.
Yes.
Just keep it in mind.
So I think if any team is set up to slog it, it's the Eagles.
Oh,
It's
for
not Tampa
sure.
Bay.
No, you want to hand it to Saquon? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take it all day over Rashid. You're right.
So
I didn't think about that.
So I think there's just enough, and I think the defense carries over from this game against the Saints.
I like it. I like your confidence. Anything else before I do a quick fixated?
No, it's all you, buddy.
Okay. Here's the quick fixated. I need NFL officiating in the NFL to take seriously this idea that they want to protect players. Because we got one call on the Slay penalty, and I'm grateful for that. But there's zero reason that there was not a flag thrown on the Devontae play. Like, dude damn near killed him.
Yeah.
And it was not necessary at all. Like, the definition of unnecessary roughness was that play. It's like literally in the name. I have such a problem with a league who wants to preach player safety, but doesn't carry it out. Devontae's just like the most recent example.
Yeah.
And do you see what that guy got fined? $4,000?
Is that it? CJG got fined more for pulling the guy's mouthpiece off.
It's crazy.
Absurd.
There's a guy who got suspended from
Derwin James.
Yeah.
From the Chargers.
For that wasn't even that hit wasn't even anything compared to this.
He kept going. The tight end kept going. He didn't even go down.
This is wild to me.
Yeah.
That one, there was no flag.
$4,000 is absurd.
Regz, I don't even know if that's a quarter of this dude's game check.
Right.
That's insane that I even said that. There's no way that's a quarter of his game
not even
check.
close.
Like, he probably has that cash in his pocket.
If it's a tenth of his game check, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, it's insanely, it was egregious.
Yeah.
And it was garbage.
Yeah.
And the league needs they need to be embarrassed about that.
Yeah.
That not one of those refs had the wherewithal to throw a flag. Devontae's laying there like out cold.
He's unconscious.
That doesn't come
from a
like,
guy who he can't see.
And I said this to you the other night, like his arms were pinned.
Right. But that guy goes head hunting with the top of his helmet to his chin.
I mean, what are we talking about here?
Yep.
And, shame on Saint fans, and not all in general. I hate when people do that. Philly. But shame on some Saint fans who I saw saying it was a fumble. He fumbled, which, according to video replay, he actually did. But, like, is that the conversation we're having?
Yeah.
Like, this guy was out cold on the field. And that's the conversation you want to have. Not that your player decided that a cheap shot was necessary, but that maybe the ball was fumbled. I know you're bitter. I know that you think you're actually good. You're not. You're not. I would love to play that team with our entire offense. I'd love to play the Falcons again with AJ Brown there. We probably won't get that shot because the Falcons aren't. But that's it. That was my fixated.
All right. I like it.
All right. Well, hey, we're going to be back next Thursday with, I guess, at that point, we'll know who the Phillies are playing.
That's right. Little playoff preview.
It'll be great timing. We'll recap the Eagles game. We'll have a bye week, so I don't know what we'll talk about otherwise. Maybe we'll just take a look at like our early, those predictions and stuff we made.
I like it.
Just since it's 4 weeks in.
Yeah,
Good God.
right. Stupid.
Anyhow, we appreciate y'all listening. Thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with us. Go ahead and follow us. Click subscribe on the YouTube channel if you're watching. Go ahead and follow us wherever you get your podcast. Rate us there. And then head over to social media. Phixated Pod on Twitter. The Mic Drop 5. Regz with a Z. Phixated fan page on Facebook. Phixated Pod on TikTok. And then the merchandise link in the show description. Otherwise, my friends, thanks so much. We'll be back on Thursday. In the meantime, congrats to the Phillies. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. Proud of you, Phils. Go Birds.
Good job, Phils.
Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.